What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special pre-recorded edition of the European Volleyball Show. My name's Rob St. Clair. It's the week of Wednesday, February 9th, and we're looking at the super match of the week on the men's side of Lokomotiv Novosibirsk versus Cucine Lube Civitanova, as well as taking a look at really the entirety of Champions League. There's a lot to go over. The matches are starting to get really intense as we approach the end of the fourth round of competition. We're getting pretty close to learning who of the 20 teams on the men's side, which 8 are going to make it out into the quarterfinals. We will get into this particular super match of the week, preview it in detail, and jump around summarizing things that are going on elsewhere in the Champions League, all on this show. So thanks for watching. Let's jump right into it by looking at Lokomotiv Novosibirsk hosting this match. They are 1-2, third place in the pool right now, but this pool C was one of the pools that we were looking at coming into the fourth round as being one of very few that has 3 legitimately great teams in it, making it all that much more difficult. Lokomotiv in third right now behind Zaksa Cucine and this Lube Civitanova team. Lokomotiv right now in Russia, extremely good, only one loss on the year, 13-1, 38 points. Still with a couple matches to catch up with, but their only loss is to Zenit Kazan once. They beat Dinamo Moscow in domestic competition very recently. They're playing really, really well. Finishing third in Russia last year, beating Kuzbas Kemerovo in the third place series. They won the Champions League actually back in 2013, the only time in their club's history to do that. And last year in Champions League, they finished second in Pool E. That was the pool that Trentino won en route for them to reaching the superfinals before losing to Zaksa. That second in that pool, though, was not good enough for Lokomotiv to make it out of pools to the quarterfinals last year. So we'll see if they can pull a little bit of a miracle and do that this year. We'll talk about the pool standings in just a minute. Who I expect to be the starters for Lokomotiv playing at home in this match: Konstantin Abayev, the Russian setter. Well, so in Russia, you only get 2 foreigners domestically on the entire roster. Now, no foreigner limits in Champions League, but this Lokomotiv team has rocked with this particular starting lineup the entire season. Those 2 foreigners are Gord Perrin, the outside hitter from Canada, and Drazen Ljubiric, the opposite from Serbia, both world-class players at the wings, supplemented by Sergei Savin, the Russian, on the outside. Middle blockers, 2 superstars, Ilyas Kurkaev and Dmitry Lizik, a guy who not a lot of people know yet because he hasn't seen much time on the Russian national team, but really big and really good. What else is new for a Russian middle blocker? And Roman Martinyuk at the libero, with coach Plamen Konstantinov running the show. This is the lineup that Lokomotiv has gone with all of Champions League so far, all of the Russian league so far, and this is exactly who I expect to see in Siberia tomorrow, or Wednesday as you're listening to this. So moving on to one of the very best club teams in all of Europe, Cucine Lube Civitanova, atop this difficult pool right now at 4-0 and an almost perfect 11 points. Very good in Italy domestically, 14-3, 42 points, good enough for second place behind fellow Champions League competitors Perugia. They did win the Italian Superlega last year, winning the Scudetto, beating Perugia in the finals. They've won the Champions League as a club twice in their history, all the way back in 2002 and more recently in 2019. And in last year's Champions League, they finished in the quarterfinals, so tied for 5th place. They had that incredible 2-match plus a golden set series, losing to Zaksa Cucine on their way to winning the entire Champions League. So we talked about that just about a month ago on this very same show as I was previewing Lube versus Zaksa, which Lube ended up winning 3-2, and back at that time it was kind of more difficult to predict a starting lineup for Lube. This time it's a little bit easier. The lineup has been more consistent over the past month or so. I don't expect Osmani Wantarena to play. His back injury is a little more severe than initially thought, and we've barely seen him all season, but for Lube that's okay because of the continued great play of young Cuban superstar Marlon Yant. He has been so good. If you haven't seen this kid play yet this season, you are in for a treat in this match. Marlon Yant, one of the next great Cuban superstars, along with Ricardo Lucarelli, who they brought over from Trentino last year. That is a very capable, more than capable outside hitter duo in Wantareno's absence. And the other question mark we had last time was who was going to be the opposite. We saw young Puerto Rican Gabby Garcia Fernandez get the start against Zaksa earlier in the Champions League, but lately it's been Ivan Zaitsev, who was a big off-season pickup for Lube, coming back to Lube after years bouncing around elsewhere, including in Russia. Came in to be the starting opposite, but underwent a minor knee procedure after the Olympics that kept him out about the first half of the season. So we saw Zaitsev come off the bench at opposite and play really well in that Zaxa match in early January. But lately, in Italy and in Champions League, Zaitsev has been the guy on the right side. So I expect him to be there on Wednesday against Lokomotiv. Robert Landy, Simone, and Simone Anzani in the middle, just about as good as it gets. Simone, clearly the best middle in the world, in my opinion. And that individual matchup between him and both Kirkaev and Lizik in the middle for Lokomotiv is going to be really fun to watch. And the whole show orchestrated by the great Luciano Di Cecco of Argentina, a great young libero who flies a little under the radar, in my opinion, but is easily top 10 in the world, if not higher than that, is Fabio Bolasso for Lube, an extremely important piece for them, and they are coached by Gian Lorenzo Blangini. So let's take a look at, pulling up the web browser now, the last time these two teams played. It was the first match of Champions League fourth round for both of these teams. Lube hosted Lokomotiv on December 1st, and they whooped them. This match was not particularly close. 25-17, 25-20, 25-15. It was kind of a beatdown, including 17 aces. That is crazy. Look at that number right there. 17 aces for Lube Civitanova, which is just a ridiculous number. 6 from Marlon Yant, 5 from Carlo Lucarelli, and 4 from Robert Landy Simone. So Lube clearly dominated the serve and pass battle in that one, plus 4 stuff blocks and a very good kill percentage at 54% as a team. Lokomotiv, meanwhile, serve reception was just clearly the biggest issue for them. 29% positive, 9% perfect. That's just not going to do it if you're going to run your offense to any respectable degree. 4 blocks, only 2 aces to 14 errors. That's not a good ratio at all. So Lokomotiv was looking to kind of forget this match pretty quickly and move on with the rest of their Champions League, which really they were able to do pretty well. So let's look at what else has gone on in this Pool C. So Zaxa beat Maribor at home pretty easily in the first match. There's that Lube versus Zaxa win early on. Then Lokomotiv turned around and hosted Zaxa Kędzierzyn-Koza, which was a very good match. Those last 2 sets, sets 3 and 4, were extremely tight, but Zaxa did walk out of Siberia with a full 3 points. Lube handled Maribor no problem. Lokomotiv handled Maribor no problem. Then we had the great one of the matches of Champions League so far, where Lube beat Zaxa 3-2 in Poland. Lube handled Maribor easily again. And then just earlier this week, on Tuesday, February 8th, Zaxa started quite the gauntlet of travel in Slovenia, beating Maribor again, which brings us to this point, and only a couple matches left in this pool. So let's take a look at the pools, actually. Let's scroll down to Pool C. There we go. And again, the criteria for making it out of pools in the CEV Champions League in the fourth round is there's 5 pools of 4. The first place team in each pool makes it out of the pool. And then of the remaining 5 second place teams, the top 3 make it out. And that is what is being fought for by all 3 of these teams. Lube has not sealed up the win in this pool yet by any means. They could easily lose to both Novosibirsk and Zaxa again, finish 4-2, and that might not even be good enough to make it out as a second place team. So the battle in this pool remains extremely competitive. Zaxa at 3-1. They travel to Novosibirsk again, actually, this Saturday, which we'll talk about in a minute. That'll be very interesting. And Maribor at the bottom of the pool for now at 0-5. They're mathematically eliminated, but Novosibirsk is not. They're going to need to go probably undefeated the rest of the way. They have Lube this week, of course, then hosting Zaxa after a cancellation from earlier in the tournament. Then they go to Maribor. So if they can win all 3 of those matches, which is not impossible for a team that's this good, they are not out of this competition yet by any means, but they're going to have to win at least 2, probably all 3 of those to have a chance to make it out. And that's exactly what I was talking about when coming into this pool. We were expecting with these 3 great teams for it to be such a tight battle throughout. It has definitely been that way so far. So let's take a look at some of the rest of the pools and some of the other interesting things that have gone on throughout the rest of the Champions League starting this week. So as of the recording of this video, the matches on Tuesday, February 8th have all wrapped up. We saw Zaxa go to Maribor and win 3-0 like we said. We saw Zenit St. Petersburg rebound significantly, going to Portugal and beating Benfica from Lisbon. And an interesting one there, Fenerbahce beating Cannes in Pool E, but needing 5 sets. That might eliminate Fenerbahce as we look at their pool in a minute. And then one of the great upsets of the tournament so far, Maaseik from Belgium beating Ziraat Bankasa Ankara at home in 5, 15-13 in the 5th. That match was awesome. I had a great time watching that earlier today. I highly recommend going and checking out the replay. It's live on YouTube for free. That really shakes up everything, especially in terms of second place teams who have a chance to make it out of their pool or make it to the quarterfinals as second place teams, because Ziraat Bankasa, as you can see down here, looking at all the pools kind of at once, Ziraat Bankasa right there, they were 3-1. They had 9 points. They were looking really good after beating Warszawa twice. They hadn't played Maaseik yet. Maaseik hadn't even won a set in Champions League until earlier today, and they beat Ankara straight up at home. That was a big one. So Ziraat Bankasa's chances of advancing as a second place team took a hit because of that, but they do play Dinamo Moscow one more time head to head. And if they win that match, they're definitely right back in business. Looking at Pool A really quick, you see Yashevsky Vagil, they have already clinched a spot in the quarterfinals, and I believe all 3 of these remaining teams in Pool A are mathematically eliminated. Pool C we already went over, which is going to continue to be very interesting these next couple weeks. These two pools here I'm very excited about. So let's start with Pool D. You have the Berlin Recycling Volleys, who play tomorrow against Novi Sad of Serbia. You have Zenit St. Petersburg, who played today against Benfica, beat them in 3. They're now 3-1. So let's say Berlin is able to beat Novi Sad. They're 4-0 with some number of points. That sets up, after scheduling postponement, a 2-match series in 2 days. Next week, Berlin will travel to St. Petersburg and take on ZSP twice in 2 days, next Wednesday and Thursday, back to back. And one of those will be our super match of the week next Wednesday. I'm so excited for that. I've been excited to see this Berlin team take on teams of the rest of Europe throughout this Champions League, because they've been largely untouched in Germany. Well, they were untouched in Germany until losing confusingly in 5 sets to Friedrichshafen in the German Cup semifinals just recently. But other than that, Berlin has been by far the best team in Germany, and I'm really excited to see them perhaps take on a team of ZSP's caliber, who I kind of consider to be a championship contender. And they're going to play them back-to-back on 2 different nights. And in order for either of those teams to guarantee themselves to make it out of pools, they're going to have to win probably both of those matches, especially Zenit St. Petersburg. So just a little preview for next week, what you can really look forward to. And then looking at Pool E, it's basically a 2-man race now at this point, now that Fenerbahce was unable to get full points against Cannes earlier today. It's really just Perugia versus Trentino, and I had Matt Anderson of Perugia on the show a couple weeks ago, which was a phenomenal interview. Go check that out on here on the YouTube channel if you haven't already. But he was talking about how Perugia's played Trentino already 4 times this season, which is crazy, and they play them again this week for a 5th time. That'll be Thursday, February 10th. So tomorrow, probably as you're watching this video, that will be very exciting. Stoked for that one, because those 2 teams are tied, dead tied at 2 wins each head-to-head this season. That's a lot of matchup knowledge for 2 great Italian teams and 2 championship contenders, and that might decide who wins Pool E. So very excited about that one. Let's make sure we take a look at all the schedules of the matches happening on Wednesday. This one is the earliest, our featured match of the week, Lube versus Novosibirsk. 7 p.m. local time, but that's in Siberia. That's the furthest east match probably anywhere in all of Europe, in all of technical Europe, or definitely in all of Champions League. So that one's pretty early, but also good matches. You've got Berlin traveling to Serbia to take on Novi Sad, Nakru Solari versus Friedrichshafen, and Warszawa hosting Dinamo Moscow. To kind of play spoiler, I think Warszawa is mathematically eliminated at 0-3 so far. And then on Thursday, you get Hebar Pazardzek versus Jashevsky. Jashevsky, all they need to do is win 1 match, and they're very comfortably going to be in one of those top cups to do the drawing blots out of for the quarterfinal draw. But then another really big one. I think, what is that, 7:30 p.m. Italian time, Trentino versus Perugia. That's enormous. Very excited about that. That'll be on the YouTube channel as well. And then an interesting scheduling note that's very important to take note of. On Saturday, this Saturday, February 12th, there will be a makeup game in the Champions League. Zaksa Kedrzers and Kozle will travel to Siberia to play Lokomotiv Novosibirsk for a second time. Not usually the way the schedule would work out, but when Lokomotiv was supposed to travel to Poland a couple weeks ago, Zaksa was forced to postpone the match, and now they have to travel back to Novosibirsk on a Saturday. So that'll be really interesting, part of quite the journey for Zaksa as they balance Champions League travel with Plus Liga travel. But Lokomotiv with a little bit of an advantage there. They have a very good home crowd in Novosibirsk, and it was on display last time they played Zaksa at home. They were almost able to win that match. That rematch this Saturday is going to be really interesting. And then just looking forward to next week. Next Tuesday, you get Warszawa versus Maaseik. That likely won't have any impact on who makes it out of pools. Next Wednesday, February 16th, is a stacked day of matches. Dynamo Moscow versus Zira Bankasa jumps off the page. Lokomotiv Novosibirsk has to beat Maribor to have any chance. And then the first of two great matches in a row between ZSP and Berlin. Trentino will probably have to beat Cannes to advance. Maaseik taking on Warszawa again. There another makeup situation there. And then another banger of a match, Lube versus Zaksa in Italy. That's next Wednesday. Then the very last day of Champions League competition for the fourth round will be next Thursday, February 17th. And we'll cover all this next week as well, but I just want to preview it for everyone as this is about to get really good. Oh, my music keeps stopping. There we go. A couple mostly meaningless matches by that point just to round out the couple other pools. But then the very last one, probably the last match of the entire tournament, at least the fourth round, Berlin at ZSP Chapter 2. Very excited for that. So, okay, that's a lot of info, a lot of Champions League going on, a handful of matches being moved around, but you can check out any of the info you need on cev.eu. For all latest match times, standings, scores, all that sort of thing. And to check out what matches can be streamed where, look on the YouTube channel. Any streams that are scheduled will be available several days in advance. But if you want to catch every single match of the competition, you're going to want to subscribe to Eurovolley.tv. Great promo going on right now. As we get deeper into the quarterfinals and towards the super finals, both men's and women's, of the CAV Champions League, Eurovolley.tv will be the only place you'll be able to watch those championship matches. So get out ahead of it, be able to watch every match, and pick up a subscription to that service. So we've gone through just about everything there is to go with catching up on Men's Champions League. We'll catch up with Women's Champions League next week because they're wrapping up their competition next week at the same time as the men, which is going to be awesome. A lot of movement, a lot of drama going on there. So stay tuned until next week for more Champions League women's coverage. But just about the only thing left to do here for the super match of the week, Lokomotiv versus Lube Civitanova men, is for me to make my picks. And wish I had up in front of me like my record of picks so far on the season here on the European Volleyball Show. I pick every match. Last week we had Novara versus THY Istanbul. I picked Novara in 5. I was wrong. It was THY in 4. This one though, man, I don't know. Lube is such a juggernaut of a team. They're especially as they continue to settle into a lineup a little bit more with Ivan Zaitsev getting back into the flow of high-level, consistent volleyball and playing really well. You have Robert Landy-Simon, who's the best middle in the world. You have one of the best setters in the world. You have just the vicious service pressure of Lube, which we saw 17 aces in 3 sets against Lokomotiv Novosibirsk last time. But the fact that this match is being played in Russia, I really think changes everything. I expect a pretty good crowd to be on hand. That is not an easy trip for any team flying that many hours east to Novosibirsk. Cucine Lube Civitanova is a team that is battle-tested. Travel doesn't bother them. They went to Brazil earlier in the season, then came back and played Champions League. This is no big deal for them. But Lokomotiv, the desperation for them is very real. They have no choice but to win this match. Otherwise, it's going to be another slightly disappointing early finish for them in the Champions League, and that is not what they want at all. They have high aspirations, especially as good as they've been playing in Russia. I thought this Novosibirsk team, until they got the pool draw that they got, they had a great chance to really do some damage in the elimination stage of the Champions League this year with just the way that their roster is constructed and how good they've been so far. So really, they're going to have to pass the ball much better against this Lube team. Martinyuk, Savin, Perrin are going to have to hang in there against some of the best servers in the world. We'll see how well Kirkaev and Lizik hang around or are able to slow down and score against Robert Lendy Simon. And I think Drazen Luburic, to me, for the opposite for Lokomotiv, is the most important player in this match. He is, if you don't know who this guy is, he's been the backup to Alexander Atanasijevic on the Serbian national team for most of his career, but has played a lot more meaningful minutes on the national team the last couple years. It's his second year at least in Lokomotiv, maybe even his third. And he is really an elite level opposite. This guy is no joke. He is able to score with the best of them, and if Lokomotiv can keep themselves remotely in system, their offense will be able to be diverse enough to give Luburic some pretty decent scoring opportunities. Also a great weapon from the service line. I think a lot of the match is going to depend on how efficient and at decent volume Drazen Luburic is going to be able to score. And I am very high on Luburic. I like him a lot as a player, and what more do I love on this show than to pick 5 setters? I think I'm going to do it again. I am going to pick Lube in 5. They went to a very hostile environment in Poland in a massive arena and beat Zaksa in 5 earlier in this tournament. I think they're going to be able to do the same against a hostile Russian crowd all the way in Siberia. But I think Lube's firepower, experience this year, their serving prowess, and Robert Lendy Simon will be enough to get them the win in this match, and that may end up being the nail in the coffin for Lokomotiv's Champions League season if Lube can pull off the win on the road. Lube in 5 is my pick. So as you're watching this video, the match is probably either live or maybe already over. It is at 1 p.m. CET on Wednesday, February 9th. That is early. It's one of the earliest matches we've had of the entire season so far. 1 p.m. CET, even though that's 7 p.m. local, that's pretty far east of where most of you are probably watching from in Europe. So make sure you know when the match starts your time, and where you can watch it is right here on the CEV YouTube channel for free. No restrictions whatsoever, with the great Louis Lett on the mic commentating, if I'm not mistaken. I'm very excited to watch this. It's pretty early, my time in North America, but I'm going to be up, I'm going to be watching, and I hope you will be too. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on the European Volleyball Show. Ton of Champions League, all kind of coming to a head here as we wrap up the 4th round. And this match, Lokomotiv versus Cucine Lube Civitanova, will be awesome. So make sure you know how to watch it. And we'll see if my Lube in 5 pick holds up on the show next week. Thanks everyone very much for watching.